Sometimes I think she's developing a mind of her own.
You should know, you programmed her.
That's what worries me.
It was 1986. Saturday morning television was getting stranger and more ambitious than anyone expected, and 4 space cowboys with brain implants rode onto the screen ready to protect a galaxy that looked a lot like the Wild West with rockets. This is the entire story of Galaxy Rangers, the new frontier. The story begins in the year 2086. 2 peaceful aliens, representatives of the planets Andor and Kerwin, travel to Earth to ask for help. Their part of the galaxy is being terrorized by the Crown Empire.
She's offering Eliza's crystal in the hope that we'll enter her games.
This is too good to pass up.
An interplanetary dictatorship run by a ruler known only as the Queen of the Crown. She has been expanding her reach across star systems, enslaving every species she encounters, and the people of Andor and Kerwin cannot hold her back on their own. In exchange for Earth's military alliance, they offer something Earth has never had: the plans for a hyperdrive, a faster-than-light engine that can take humanity to the stars. Earth accepts the deal. What follows, over the next several years, is one of the most dramatic expansions in human history. The hyperdrive opens up the galaxy the way the steam engine once opened up a continent. Human beings pour out into the new frontier, colonizing distant worlds, setting up towns and outposts on planets with names like Nebraska and Ozark.
Listen, I'm gonna grab lunch. Now, don't monkey around with those machines.
Okay.
Well, see you later.
Trading with alien species and dragging along with them everything humanity has ever been, the best of it and the worst of it. The frontier culture that develops looks like something out of the old American West, except the horses are spacecraft and the territory runs for light years in every direction. With that expansion comes danger. Space-going outlaws work the frontier the way outlaws have always worked new territory, taking what they can before the law arrives, staying ahead of any authority that might reach them. The Crown Empire watches from the edges, calculating when to push and where humanity is weakest. To deal with both threats, the government establishes BETA, the Bureau of Extraterrestrial Affairs, as the law enforcement authority across human space.
This is a nice place. Should we live here? No, we got a job to do.
And inside BETA, a special program is created, the Series 5 Galaxy Rangers. 4 individuals, each fitted with a Series 5 brain implant that unlocks something extraordinary in each of them, each given abilities beyond what any ordinary person carries into a fight. They operate at the intersection of science and frontier justice, out where the maps end and everything that happens next depends entirely on them. They are the badge and the gun at the edge of the known world. The 4 Rangers. Zachary Fox leads the team. He is a former military officer, steady, principled, and deeply serious about what he does. Jerry Orbach provides his voice, and the character comes across exactly the way Orbach always sounds. Grounded, authoritative, the kind of man you want in charge when things go wrong.
Like outer space so far.
Let my ship go and my planet will reward you well.
Fox lost half his body in the attack that started the whole story, and the left side of him is now bionic. His Series 5 implant supercharges that bionic side, amplifying his strength and allowing him to channel enough energy through his arm to blast through a wall. He carries his mission professionally and without self-pity, but there is a wound underneath it that never closes, and it drives everything he does. Shane Gooseman, almost always called Goose, is the team's muscle and its most complicated member. He was not born the way most people are born. He was genetically engineered in a government laboratory as part of a program to create super troopers, an army of enhanced, near-superhuman soldiers built to fight on behalf of Earth's interests. The program went wrong.
I don't want no trouble here.
Seems to me you do a pretty good job of attracting it.
A politician named Senator Weiner exposed most of the super troopers to a flawed, DNA accelerator called the X Factor, which killed some of them and pushed most of the survivors into instability and violence. The renegade super troopers had to be frozen. Goose survived only because he was at a firing range when the gas was released and missed the exposure entirely. He is the only super trooper who came out the other side stable. His Series 5 implant works with his engineered biology to give him something his creators never quite intended: the ability to adapt his body at a molecular level, healing damage that would kill an ordinary person, absorbing energy, and shifting his physical form to suit the environment. He is described by the show's creators as the Clint Eastwood character.
Doc, there's a combat program in here.
Easy, white man. You got the doctor on your side.
Sparse with words, hard to read, and entirely capable of handling whatever the frontier throws at him. Nico is the team's third member, a young woman with genuine psychic abilities that existed long before the Series 5 implant enhanced them. Her implant amplifies what she already had: the ability to sense things at a distance, to read emotional residue left in objects and places, and to project a force field when she focuses. She was raised and trained by a community called the Circle of Thought, a group of psychically gifted individuals who cultivated their abilities as a discipline. And the mentor she had there, a figure named Ariel, remains important to her throughout the series. Nico carries herself with calm precision, and in a team full of people who solve problems with weapons or engineering.
You yet how inferior they are to the power of the mind? Ariel, what about the Megamind?
She is the one who sees the part of the situation that cannot be measured. Walter Hartford, always called Doc, rounds out the four. He is the team's computer specialist, a brilliant and often irreverent man who would rather talk his way through a situation than shoot his way out of it. His Series 5 implant gives him the ability to communicate with and direct small holographic programs called tweakers, geometric constructs that can interact with computer systems in ways Doc guides from a distance. He is the one who keeps the team's technology functioning, who finds the back door in the locked system, and who has a wisecrack ready regardless of the circumstances. The beginning. Phoenix. Everything starts with a mission that goes wrong in the worst possible way.
Another hologram.
Look at the bright side. The hollows can't get much worse.
Zachary Fox is not yet a ranger. He is still a regular officer, a man with a wife named Eliza, a son named Zach Jr., and a daughter named Jessica, assigned to escort a diplomatic delegation to the planet Kerwin. The ship carrying the Fox family and the delegation is intercepted in deep space by a space pirate named Captain Kidd, who works for the Queen of the Crown. Kidd takes the ship, takes the cargo, and takes the people. Zachary fights back. He is badly wounded in the process, hurt badly enough that when it is over, half his body has to be rebuilt with bionic components. His children escape in an emergency pod, but Eliza is captured. Kidd sells her to the Queen of the Crown, and the Queen puts her through something called the Psychocrypt.
1,000 crowns for their capture.
The Psychocrypt is the Queen's most terrible device. It extracts the mind and life force of a living person and seals it inside a crystal. The body that remains is alive but hollow, present but not there. The crystal holds everything that the person actually was. The Queen uses these psychocrystals as power sources and as tools. She can see through them, hear through them, use the knowledge and emotions stored inside them as instruments against the people who loved those captured individuals. Eliza's body is eventually recovered by Zachary, but her mind, her psychocrystal, remains in the Queen's possession throughout nearly the entire series, held as both a prize and a weapon. It is out of this loss that the Galaxy Rangers are formed.
The specimens are live and undamaged. The new species called human.
Beta brings together 4 individuals with Series 5 implants and the specific combination of skills the Frontier needs. Zachary accepts the commission with one understanding that he does not need to say out loud. He intends to get his wife back. That intention sits under every mission the team goes on, whether it is directly relevant or not. The world they police. The galaxy the Rangers operate in is enormous and strange, and the show takes its time building the texture of it across 65 episodes. Tortuna is the Frontier's most dangerous outpost, a lawless planet that functions as a meeting point for criminals, outlaws, information brokers, and anyone who does not want to be found by anyone who has the authority to find them.
Battery, a storage battery. It holds 1 million emotions.
The Rangers go there repeatedly, sometimes openly and sometimes undercover, because Tortuna is where information lives. It is the kind of place where everything is for sale, and trust is the rarest currency on the exchange. A small alien creature named Gizi the Petulant operates there as an informant, someone who knows where things are, who is moving what, and who crossed whose territory last week. Gizi shares that information for the right price. Gizi is unreliable in the comfortable way that most informants are unreliable, useful enough to keep going back to, untrustworthy enough that every piece of information has to be treated as a starting point rather than a conclusion. The Queen's forces operate across the frontier with a particular kind of organized menace. Her soldiers are called slaver lords.
Buzzwang, please advise as to the nature of your mission.
We're going for pizza.
That looks like Buzzwang too.
Armored enforcers who carry out her orders and collect the people and resources she wants with methodical efficiency. Her territory is centered on a mobile asteroid fortress, and the Psycho Crypt at its heart is both her power source and her most effective threat against any world that considers resisting her. She demands tribute from planets that want to stay out of her way, and she simply takes what she wants from the ones that cannot stop her. On the criminal side, the Black Hole Gang is the Rangers' most persistent outlaw opposition across the series. They are space criminals operating on the frontier, violent, organized, and frequently crossing paths with the Rangers over star gems and other valuables scattered across the new territories. Their encounters with the team escalate as the series develops.
Ariel, but some of us need spaceships to get around.
Teleportation's just another trick of the trade that you'll learn.
And their name becomes literal in one of the series' most memorable moments, a battle at a place called Entropy's Edge, where Goose knocks out the power source of the Black Hole Gang's hideout and gets pulled into the black hole itself in the process. He survives because Goose survives things that should not be survivable, but the journey through the wormhole takes him to a region called the Empty Zone, a strange stretch of space that operates by its own rules and does not show up on any official chart. The Super Troopers. The Renegade Super Troopers form a running threat through the series that is personal for Goose in ways that none of the other enemies are. Every other fight Goose gets into is professional, a ranger doing his job on the frontier. The Renegade Super Troopers are different.
Galaxy Rangers! You turn up in the most unlikely places.
They are the mirror version of him. The people who came out of the same program, went through the same engineering, and came out the other side, broken in directions that made them dangerous to everyone around them. The Super Trooper program was Goose's origin. These were people, engineered people, but people who were made the way he was made, in the same facility, by the same program. Most of them were ruined by the X-Factor exposure that Senator Weiner arranged. The renegades who escaped before the government could freeze them operate across the frontier now, sometimes working for pay as muscle or hired enforcers, sometimes pursuing their own agendas, and sometimes specifically targeting Goose because of what he represents to them. To them, Goose is a traitor.
Getting a little bored?
We've got to turn that machine off.
The one Super Trooper who came through clean and then took a badge and went hunting. To the Earth government and to most of Beta, Goose is tolerated but never fully trusted, because no one above a certain level of authority is ever entirely comfortable with what he is or what he might become if the wrong thing happens to him. Killbane is the most dangerous of the renegades, a super trooper whose abilities survived the X Factor and came out amplified and distorted in a direction that makes him genuinely difficult to stop by conventional means. He crosses paths with the Rangers more than once, and each confrontation with Goose carries the specific weight of two engineered soldiers who came from the same origin point and ended up on opposite sides of every choice that mattered.
I'd like a tour of your mainframe computer here, Sam.
We're very busy here, and we don't have time.
In one of the series' major escalations, Killbane leads a group of renegade super troopers back toward Earth with a specific objective: free the frozen super troopers from government custody and build an army. The Rangers have to stop them before they reach Earth, and Goose has to stand between his own origin and the rest of the world, which is not a position anyone can stand in without it costing something. Stingray and Darkstar are two other renegades who turn up working as hired muscle for an outlaw cattle baron on the frontier planet Nebraska. Goose tracks them down. What he does when he finds people who carry the same engineered biology he does, but made completely different choices with it, is one of the ongoing tensions the show builds without ever fully resolving.
Do you know who you're talking to, you fat-headed demon? I'm Larry!
The weight on Zachary Fox. Eliza's situation is the emotional center of the entire series, and the show handles it with a seriousness that was genuinely unusual for American animation in 1986. Zachary functions as a professional day-to-day. He leads the team with the kind of steady composure that comes from training and from the decision to keep going regardless of what is happening inside. He executes the missions, makes the hard calls under pressure, and does not let the team see the fracture underneath the professionalism very often. But he cannot sleep without dreaming of Eliza calling to him across the dark. And those dreams are not just grief working itself out in the night. They are real contact. The Queen uses Eliza's psycho crystal as a conduit, reaching through it into Zachary's sleep.
Vamos mostrar a eles.
Macross! Saki! Suspenda o fogo!
And using the love between a husband and wife as a tool for sustained psychological pressure. It is patient, precise cruelty. Beta's scientist Q-Ball eventually identifies what is happening through careful analysis of the psychic harmonic link. The Queen has found a way to exploit the connection between Zachary and the crystal holding Eliza's consciousness, and she has been using it deliberately for an extended period. When the team works to disrupt that specific harmonic connection, they sever the Queen's direct access to Zachary through Eliza's crystal. The nightmares stop. But disrupting the link does not free Eliza. Her crystal remains in the Queen's possession. Her body lies in medical suspension somewhere on Earth, kept alive by technology, while the part of her that was actually Eliza remains locked away in the Queen's fortress.
Os canopianos de sucção.
Eu me amarro neste planeta, sabia?
The children grow up with a father who is present and doing his best, and a mother who is technically alive, and neither of those facts adds up to what a family is supposed to be. In the episode the series calls Psychocrypt, the Queen weaponizes what remains of the connection. She sends images and sensations through Eliza's crystal, Eliza reaching out, Eliza in distress, Eliza calling specifically for Zachary, until he cannot distinguish dream from signal anymore. Against the explicit orders of Commander Walsh at Beta, Zachary takes off alone toward the Queen's territory. He walks into the Psychocrypt facility. He is captured. The Queen's intention is to use Zachary himself to create the most powerful psychocrystal ever assembled.
The Big Valley.
Hey! Now, what is this?
A little reminder to all the settlers.
a crystal drawn from a Galaxy Ranger, a man whose loss and love and purpose have been concentrated by years of grief into something she finds extraordinarily valuable. The rest of the team goes after him against direct orders. With Gizi's intelligence from Tortuna, they find the facility and pull Zachary out before the process finishes. It is the series' most intense rescue, not just of a person, but of the part of Zachary that is still holding together. Eliza's crystal remains with the Queen when they leave the facility. Nothing fundamental changes. The mission succeeds, and the wound stays open exactly as it was. The frontier in motion. Between the major story arcs, the series builds a world that feels lived in and genuinely strange in equal measure.
You think beef is behind the attacks?
Weren't many settlers in the Big Valley before they decided to put in rail service.
The planets along the frontier are wildly varied. Kerwin, the home world of the friendly aliens, Waldo and Zozo, who became Earth's first alien allies, and whose people remain among the most consistently vulnerable to the Queen's ambitions, is a peaceful agricultural world whose inhabitants the Rangers are particularly committed to protecting. Nebraska is a frontier planet that looks exactly like its name suggests, wide open and dusty, with cattle ranches and outlaws, and the kind of troubles that look like old Western problems until something with a starship engine shows up and changes the math entirely. Tarkon is a world whose king is being pressured into signing a treaty with the Queen of the Crown, a treaty that would effectively give her access to Tarkon's resources and population.
Well, this certainly isn't one of my images, Nico. Sorry, the Sphinx is an ancient myth.
And the king's daughter Maya reaches out to the Rangers, hoping they can change her father's mind before the agreement closes and becomes irreversible. The Queen uses the full range of her resources across these stories. She sets traps on Tortuna, including a competition for the fastest gun in the galaxy that is specifically designed as bait to draw the Rangers in. She organizes a music festival as a lure, filling a venue with thousands of people and planning to use the crowd as a mass supply source for the Psycho Crypt in a single operation. She builds a weapon powered by a neutron star and points it at Earth directly, demanding humans as tribute in exchange for not firing it. She is patient and creative and never runs short of ideas for how to get what she wants.
Are calling me Hopi just to keep up appearances.
You're going to need a recharging soon.
The Rangers operate in the middle of all of this without backup most of the time. Commander Walsh at Beta sends them where they need to go and trusts them to handle what they find. The team's dynamics stay tight across all 65 episodes. Zachary's steadiness, Goose's contained intensity, Nico's perception, Doc's technical wit, and the show trusts the audience to care about these four people as people, not just as action figures moving through set pieces. Nico's world. Nico carries her own weight of story through the series, separate from the Crown Empire conflicts and separate from the Super Trooper narrative that follows Goose. Her abilities come from genuine psychic training that began long before the Series 5 implant amplified what she already had.
We're the Galaxy Rangers.
Galaxy Rangers?
The Circle of Thought, the community that raised and shaped her, is a group of individuals with psychic gifts who treat those gifts as a discipline rather than a weapon, developing them through years of careful practice. Ariel, her mentor within the Circle, is the person who taught Nico what she is capable of and how to control it. When Ariel calls on Nico for help, because a figure called Megamind has escaped containment and has begun capturing members of the Circle, the mission is not one the other Rangers can lead. Nico has to return to the world that made her, navigate the dynamics of a community she grew up inside, and deal with a threat that is psychic in nature. It is a kind of confrontation none of her teammates are equipped to handle the same way she is, and the show gives her room to handle it on her own terms. She is also the team's reader of the past.
I ought to blow you away right here.
You're one of those Series 5 Rangers, aren't you?
the one who understands ancient sites and what they meant, who can hold a recovered artifact and sense the history attached to it, who knows that the frontier is layered on top of civilizations that were already old before humanity found the hyperdrive. When an old prospector named Roy uncovers something belonging to an ancient civilization and calls the Rangers in, it is Nico who leads the investigation alongside Doc. What they find is a giant guardian robot called the Axe, a machine built by whoever left that civilization behind, programmed to protect the treasure they left, and not interested in making a distinction between thieves and archaeologists. Getting past it requires understanding why it was built.
We have blasters.
I'm afraid this gang's got a few bigger blasters.
I better get home.
Which is exactly the kind of problem Nico is designed to solve. No guts, no glory. The series ran for 65 episodes, all of them in the first and only season, broadcast in first-run syndication beginning September 14, 1986. It was created by Robert Mandel and produced by the Gaylord Entertainment Company, with the animation done by Tokyo Movie Shinsha in Japan, the studio that brought a visual standard to the series that most American Saturday morning cartoons of the period did not match. The animation was not uniform across all episodes, because different teams worked on different stories. But at its best, the show had a fluidity and expressiveness that made it stand apart from everything airing around it on Saturday morning television. The show ended without resolving its central story. Eliza Fox remained in the Psycho Crypt at the end of the series run.
I got you now, Ranger Human.
Zachary had rescued her body, recovered from his own near destruction inside the Queen's facility, led his team through 65 episodes of frontier law enforcement, and kept his vow alive through all of it. But the Queen still held the crystal, and Eliza was still not home. The renegade super troopers were still out there. The Crown Empire was still pressing at the edges of human space. The frontier was still enormous and dangerous, and full of things that had not been named yet. For the audience that found it on Saturday mornings in 1986, it was a show that asked more of them than most cartoons did. It had consequences that persisted. It had people who were genuinely hurt by what happened to them and did not recover simply because the episode ended.
Sir, complete systems overload. The reaction is now out of control.
It had a villain who was frightening, not because she was loud, but because she was patient and calculating, and always had one more use for the people she had taken. The theme song told you what you were in for from the very first episode. No guts, no glory, that was the promise. The show kept it every week for all 65 episodes, and the people who watched it then have never quite forgotten it. If this brought something back that you haven't thought about in a while, or if you're discovering it for the very first time, hit the like button and subscribe. There's a lot more story worth telling right here. See you next time.